Hey, it's Jeff Trapp here with Tax Planning Pros, and I'm so glad that you've decided to join me today. Fall is in full bloom here in Texas. The leaves are starting to change colors, fall off the trees, starting to get a little bit cooler. But also, while the fall season is one of my favorite times of year, it is tax planning season. And today, I want to talk about you and how to make your life tax deductible, right? And today, specifically, what I want to talk about is your side hustle. So, you might have a full-time W-2 gig where you're, getting a regular steady paycheck, but maybe you've figured out that job doesn't bring you any joy or any happiness, and you're wondering what you can do on the side. Well, if you don't already know this, W-2 wage earners pay the most in taxes out of anybody. And typically, business owners pay the least amount in taxes out of anybody. And the reason why is because they are spending money on things to help make their business profitable, help promote their business. And there's certain things written in the tax code that, they can deduct, for their business. So, some things I want to talk about today. So if you're considering a side hustle, so what are some things that are a side hustle? Maybe you love door dashing food. Maybe you love being an Uber driver. Maybe you want to dip your toes into the financial services industry or check out that MLM or whatever it might be. Or you might want to start, doing legal briefs on the side on the weekends or whatever and get paid for that kind of thing. You definitely can do that. But there are some key things that you should consider when starting your side hustle, right? So the IRS wants to make sure that your business is a for-profit business and not a hobby. So you can only have losses in 2 out of 5 years. So that is key, and how does a IRS determine if you're trying to make profit in your business? Well, you keep accurate books and records. You have, you collect payments in a regular normal manner. You have a business checking account where that money goes into, and then you deduct your expenses from that. So if you're filling up at the gas station as an Uber driver, right, you're using the business card to make sure that you're paying for that gas, that sort of thing. So you want to make sure, if you're going to have losses in the first 2 years, that's okay. That can offset your regular W-2 income and create some losses, but you do need to be profitable in that third year, or else the IRS may come look at that and say, no, this business is a hobby. We're going to disallow those expenses, and you're going to have to report your income still. That's the worst case scenario. You don't want that to happen. But some other things that you want to consider are all the different taxes that are involved with your business, right? So if you have a side hustle, typically what I recommend for a business structure is just set up a single member LLC, sole proprietorship. If you're making 10, 20, 30,000 bucks a year, that business structure is going to be the best for you. And it doesn't take a lot of thought. But if you're thinking, well, maybe I'm going to go into business with somebody, you might set up a partnership or a corporation, and those all have different types of taxes associated with it. Now, as a sole proprietorship, you are responsible for self-employment tax, Social Security, Medicare tax. If you're selling something like you have a clothing boutique or something, or a pop-up shop, right? You're going to have to keep in mind, each state has different sales tax obligations. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. Make sure to set up that separate bank account or checking account and keep track of your income and your expenses. You can do that, probably with a small business. If you're making 10, 20, 30,000 a year, you can do that with like QuickBooks Self-Employed. You could do that with a spreadsheet, but you're going to want to track those incomes and expenses. And then, you want to understand what is actually a deductible expense. So a deductible expense is an expense that is ordinary for your type of business that you run and necessary for that type of business. So let's say, for an example, you're an Uber driver, right? Or a DoorDash driver. Your gas, that's going to be tax deductible, right? You might want to track your mileage with an app. QuickBooks has an app if you're using that for your bookkeeping software, or you can use something like Mile IQ. If you need to advertise your business, right? You're doing Facebook ads, things like that. Those are tax deductible expenses. getting your hair done and, buying clothes typically aren't tax deductible expenses. But if you are buying clothes, then you want to make sure you put your logo on it. Then that becomes a tax deductible expense. And most likely, if you do have a side hustle, you're not working at the office doing your side hustle. So, you want to make sure that you're taking the home office deduction, which is legal and legitimate if you are having a side hustle at your home. Now, one thing a lot of business owners fail to do is save for their tax bill, right? Because you're going to have to pay income tax on that money, as well as self-employment tax, which we touched upon earlier, which is a Social Security and Medicare part of your side hustle. Now, having a side hustle is great because it allows you to write off some things that you probably couldn't have written off in the past, like your auto expenses, maybe some of your meals when you go out to eat. Discuss business. You have to go with a clear business purpose and discuss business. It can't just be date night with your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend. But if you're going out with a client or prospect, you can deduct those meals. Or if you're traveling out to, a real estate conference or seminar, or, you get your MLM conference or seminars, those are tax deductible expenses. One thing you're going to want to do now that you're not a W-2 employee is I would encourage you to hire a tax strategist to let you know what you can actually deduct on your taxes and make sure that you're getting the most amount of deductions possible. It's important that you legally comply with what the IRS needs you to do, but also with state and local jurisdictions. So if you have a side hustle, you want to start deducting your life, you don't have a side hustle yet, remember you can have losses in 2 out of the first, 5 years. So those losses carry over and offset that W-2 income. If you found this episode helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to it. We've got our free tax playbook down below where you can get some additional tips and tax savings strategies. And I look forward to seeing you on our next episode as we dive further into tax planning and to tax planning season and what that means for you and your business and your side hustle. Once again, I'm Jeff Trapp with the Tax Planning Pros. Have a great day. Bye-bye.